The Queen of Mean. They even made a TV movie about her starring Suzanne Flechette. Leona Helmsley getting grilled by Barbara Walters and blubbering and crying about going to prison. This was on 2020 on March 27, 1992. Essential TV.
There are a great many people who are very happy about what's happened to you and very angry at you.
Leona Helmsley, the hotel queen billionaire, now prison-bound for tax evasion. Unless granted a new trial, in 18 days, her life will change from this to this.
Do you have any idea what prison is like?
I've never been there. No, all I know is I'll be away from home.
Tonight, a Barbara Walters exclusive.
They've destroyed our lives. For what? For what?
The last defense of Leona Helmsley. Those stories tonight, March 27, 1992.
A few years ago, most people didn't know who Leona Helmsley was. Today, she's a household name. But what a way to become one. Last week, a federal judge upheld Helmsley's conviction for tax evasion. She's to report to prison on April 15th. And yet, despite her notoriety, for many people, there are unanswered questions. What exactly was her crime? Is her sentence fair? And how does one of the world's wealthiest women feel about going to prison?
Well, Helmsley's attorneys have said that prison will be a virtual death sentence for her. Her doctors say she has suffered minor strokes and has a heart condition. When we came to do the interview, she was in bed and got up wearing a bathrobe and slippers. Like many New Yorkers, I've met Leona Helmsley from time to time over the years, but this week was the first occasion we had anything resembling an intimate conversation. But first, for those who don't know her, some background. Leona Helmsley is used to cameras, but this is a new and terrifying role. She is now in the spotlight, not the limelight. She's been near the top of New York's visibility ladder for over 20 years, ever since she married the boss in 1972. Harry Helmsley had built up a Manhattan real estate empire that stretches from one river to another. His holdings are estimated at over $1 billion. Leona took over the hotel side of the business. She became not only the queen of the palace, but Harry's partner as well. The government accused both Helmsleys of tax evasion in 1988. Harry Helmsley was found incompetent to stand trial. He is now 83 and suffered from fluid on the brain. But Leona Helmsley did stand trial and was convicted of evading over $1 million in income taxes. The jury found that she had billed personal expenses, including furnishings for their country estate, to the hotel business. The charges stemmed from the accusations of former employees, and she became a tabloid sensation, the woman that everyone loved to hate. A second judge affirmed her sentence last week, 4 years in prison. She's expected to serve her time here at the Federal Women's Prison in Lexington, Kentucky. She wouldn't be eligible for parole for almost 3 years. Her lawyers argue that the sentence is out of line. Similar cases of tax evasion, they say, have drawn penalties ranging from probation to just several months' imprisonment. Leona Helmsley agreed to meet with me at her Manhattan duplex, where she is recuperating after being hospitalized. Last week, she fainted outside of the courthouse. The Helmsleys live atop the Park Lane Hotel, which they own, on Central Park South. Leona Helmsley says she and her husband have lived in virtual isolation since their legal troubles began.
My mother always said.
Mrs. Helmsley, you were released from the hospital last Saturday. Can you tell us how you're feeling and what's wrong with you?
I'm not feeling like Leona usually feels. But I'm trying, and I'm hopeful that I will be all right.
Well, let me ask you a question that people are saying. They say, if you're so sick, how were you able to go back and forth to your different houses in Arizona and Florida and New York?
I didn't go. We weren't in Arizona at all this year. Not at all. We've been in New York, and we went to Sarasota because the sun was good for Harry, and he was on the beach.
You were convicted of evading $1.2 million in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you offer to pay that money back?
Not only was it offered to pay, but the day that we heard about it, Harry gave a blank signed check. He signed his name and gave it to him and said, whatever it is we owe the government, pay them.
And they said you still have to stand trial?
Evidently, they indicted us.
At your trial, there was specific testimony that you yourself directed the personal expenditures for yourself and asked that personal things be charged to the business. We're not talking about an accountant's mistakes. It was said that you personally ordered that.
It's a lie. This is nonsense. This is whatever check is put in front of me from, I don't say which book did that come from. Do you know how many checkbooks we have across the country? Hundreds. Hundreds. Do you know what size the income tax return is? It would reach the ceiling. They all had little paper clips, and I signed.
The judge at your court said you were greedy. Well, that's why you charged all of these personal things to the business. You were greedy.
I'm going to tell you how greedy I am. All our monies, my Harry has no children. I lost my only son. There are bequests to some people, not much, but the rest of it all goes to charity. What would my motive be to take $1 million and add it to the charity? It's ridiculous. They needed a scapegoat. Unfortunately, it was me.
Do you think the advertisements of you as queen of the hotels, queen of the empire, they do you harm?
Killed me.
Sorry you did them?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I didn't need it.
Mrs. Helmsley, at your trial, 44 people testified against you, and many of them had worked for you, and they talked about how brutally you had treated them. Do you think that you are easy to work for?
I think I'm very easy to work for if you're doing your job. If you're not doing your job, I just don't want you to work. Therefore, I don't have to be brutal about it. They just don't work for me, that's all.
Why do you think you've gotten this reputation?
Because the media wanted to cling to something, and they had a lucrative little subject. Let's say I'm all these terrible things, all right? Does not mean I should go to jail. What has that got to do with a crime? I committed no crime.
At your trial, your lawyer, Gerald Pfeffer, described you as a tough bitch.
Well, I think what he was trying to do was to say she's a tough bitch, she's this, she's that, doesn't. Not that he meant I was a tough bitch, and I will defend him here. I think he wanted to say exactly what I just said. So she's a tough bitch. Don't have dinner with her. Don't socialize with her. But she's not guilty. I'm not on trial for being a tough bitch or anything else other than a crime.
Mrs. Helmsley, what bothered you the most? When your lawyer called you a tough bitch or when he revealed your true age?
My age, I must say.
How old are you?
I have to figure that one out. I'm so bad in math.
I read and hear.
Yeah.
I hear that you will be 72, July 4th.
I hope I make it.
Perhaps the most damaging testimony against you, one that one reads again and again, came from a woman who was your former housekeeper and who said you told her, "We don't pay taxes, only little people pay taxes."
How could anybody believe something so absurd? I paid $600 million in taxes.
Over what period, by the way?
For the 5 years we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I sat down with a maid who worked for me for 4 months, and naturally I sat down and told her all my financial problems. I mean, isn't that a little ridiculous?
Then let me ask you directly. Did you, at any time, to this housekeeper or to anyone, say only the little people pay taxes?
It's ridiculous. Of course not.
You know that there are people who say that if you're not sent to prison, it's because you're rich. You're getting special treatment.
Well, I'm getting special treatment. If I were not Leona Helmsley and wealthy, and we're wealthy, we've worked for it, there's nothing wrong with that. They never would have touched us. Never. I would have gotten a pat on the wrist like everybody else and go home. It's outrageous. You have murderers on the street. You have killers. The children are running around with the guns. I'm dangerous? Where am I dangerous?
Mrs. Helmsley, your attorneys have filed for a new trial saying that there is new evidence. But if they do not get that new trial, and it's just a matter of a few weeks, on April 15th, you will be going to prison. Has that sunk in yet?
No, I can't believe. I can't believe that that this is not America.
Do you have any idea, if you do go to prison, how the other inmates will feel about you? This rich woman who lives in this opulence?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gone that far. I think I have to take day by day, Barbara, and maybe I'll be lucky and die. Who knows?
You have said that you will never... Yes?
I never fainted in my life. Never. Came out of that courtroom.
Last week.
It was like a pack of rats all going in my direction to take bites out of me. What have we become? What are we becoming? Animals to people? What are we becoming?
What is your husband's condition?
He's coming around. He needs, you know, they say you can buy a lot of help. You can't buy loving somebody. I love the man. I love him. He's more important to me than anything in this whole world.
Every time
He is my world.
At what point did you believe what has happened? Or does it still seem like a nightmare?
I don't believe it now. I don't believe it now. I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel everything is fine. All of a sudden my stomach goes down and it ties in a knot. And it all comes back. And I don't know. I pray to my mother to help me. Somebody to please help me.
When Mrs. Helmsley had regained her composure, we resumed the interview. Do you have any friends?
My husband.
No others?
He's my best friend. He's my best friend. Barbara's a friend to me.
Your housekeeper?
Yes. Mr. Brady's a friend to me.
Your security man?
Yes.
How long have they been with you?
18 years, one, 13 years, another. A lot of people in the hotel, they're my friends.
What if you don't get a new trial?
Why wouldn't I get a new trial? I'm entitled to something here for $600 million in taxes. Surely I'm entitled to a little justice. You know, they want me to say I'm remorseful. I have to know what I've done to be remorseful. I am not guilty of any crime except being Leona Helmsley. If that's a crime, I'm guilty.
Regarding her bid for freedom, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, it doesn't seem now as if there will be a new trial. What she is hoping for is public support. Her mail has been much more supportive. She showed us a whole pile of letters supporting her. Editorial seemed to have moved in her favor. Whether that makes any difference, it probably won't. She has been convicted.
Yeah. It might reflect, though, a public meditation on the philosophic issue of who should spend time in prison and what other penalties there might be for that kind of crime.
And And does the punishment fit
the crime? Yes, that would.
You know, should it be that long a period? That almost seems to be what the issue is now.
Yeah, that may seem draconian, but there might be other penalties that would be equally bad, but it wouldn't mean spending time in prison.
That's right.
Well, thank you. Fascinating.
Thanks for watching Cleveland Live Music. It's awfully bright out here. I'd click on another one of my videos. Quit looking into the sun. Your mother told you not to do that. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel more, there's GoFundMe and Patreon information in the video descriptions. Ooh, ooh!